Hi, this is Jana Whitley, and I'm going to be demonstrating in this second video how to continue making the Silver Ball Cactus from the Cuddly Cacti Crochet book. And in my previous video, I showed you how to start the plant portion, and we made that, and we also made the little flower, and I'm just following the instructions as they are in order in the book. So that those two parts are made, and we're going to do the next part we're going to do is the pot, and you can see the finished pot in this picture here. So that's instructions are going to be on page 46 of the book. In the previous video I showed you how to take the twisted yarn, it's twisted like this, and I wrapped it into a ball. So I'm going to put it in my bowl to hold it while I crochet. Alright, so the instructions say that we are going to start with, we're going to chain 2 and single crochet in this second chain from the hook, or single crochet in the magic loop for a total of 6 stitches. So if you know the magic loop, I would recommend using that because you can cinch your stitches together so there won't be a little hole. But for simplicity's sake, for beginners, I'm going to just do the chain 2 instead of a magic loop. So we start with a slip knot, and I demonstrated in my first video how to do the slip knot, but just a quick review. You're going to hold the tail end of your yarn in your non-dominant hand. So for me, that's my left, and then I take the working yarn, the one that's coming from the ball, cross it over the top to make a loop, so just like so, and then I'm going to take my hook, go through the loop, and pull the yarn from behind up through, like so it looks like a pretzel now. And now I'm going to hold, while I'm holding on to the tail and the working yarn, I'm going to pull that loop with my hook, and that makes a slip knot. And then I'll just pull the working yarn snug so that it closes up that slip knot. Alright, and in the previous video I talked about making chains and how to tension the yarn with your non-dominant hand. So again, I like to wrap the yarn through behind my pinky and then over the back of my hand, and then I use my first finger to kind of create tension, to pull away from the hook as I'm working, and then I use my middle finger and my thumb to hold the yarn just below the working loop. The working loop is the one that's on the hook. All right, and I'm going to yarn over by putting my hook underneath, swinging it up and around, letting the hook and the shaft glide through and pull it through the loop. So there's 1 chain and 2 chains. Now again, I showed you how to do the single crochet in the first video, so you're going to go through the second chain from the hook, so the one that's closest to the slip knot. So you go through and grab it once, yarn over again, pull through 2, so there's the first single crochet. And then you're going to continue making those into that same hole. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so I've put 6 single crochets in 1 chain. So it creates a circle. And this technique is going to be the start of many shapes in amigurumi. Anytime you're making amigurumi with round circular shapes, it's going to start the same way. Okay, so now we want to start round 2, but before we do, we want to get a stitch marker. Oop, come on, let's see if we'll focus here. Why isn't it focusing? There we go. So what I like to do is grab a piece of contrasting yarn So I'm going to grab some of this red yarn. If I can find the end. These ends are so tricky. You know what? I'm just going to use the green yarn then. Okay, I'm going to cut off about 3 inches. And this is my favorite way to do stitch markers, but it's not the only way. So I like to lay the piece of yarn over the work, kind of fold it over the work after your last stitch in the round, and then hold it in place while you make the next stitch. So the next stitch is going to be in that next V. And remember, you're going to go under both loops, the front and the back loop. And then you're going to make the single crochet, and that's going to hold your stitch marker in place between those 2 stitches. And it's important to have that stitch marker because you're going to, because the work goes into a spiral, you're not going to join rounds. It's just going to be kind of like think of it as like a snail shell that is in a spiral. So we need to be able to count how many stitches we've got. Okay, so then for this round, which is round 2, we're going to single crochet 2 in each single crochet round for a total of 12 stitches. So the first round had 6, next just has 12 because we're doubling. So 6 times 2 is 12. So we're going to go that first single crochet, we're going to go in that same stitch again. So go under both loops, make a single crochet. So now there's 2 single crochets in that first stitch. So you can see those 2 V's right there. Let's see if I can't get that a little bit better with my lighting. There we go. That's a little better. So there we go. Two stitches and 1 stitch beneath it. So that's also called an increase. Sometimes you'll see it marked with an INC in some patterns. So I'm going to go into the next stitch in that round and make 2 in that hole. And then I go into the next stitch, make 2 single crochets, go into the next, and always remembering to make sure your hook is going under both loops of that V. It's very important. Okay, next make another 2. And because we're doubling, this is going to be increasing in each stitch, and it's going to be enlarging that circle. So here we are. See, we're almost back to the stitch marker. So this is my last increase. And there we are. So again, see, look, it looks like a snail shell. And I'm going to count. See, it's important to count at the end of every round. So I like to take my hook out. So again, that's the working loop. We don't count that. That's like a 0. So we start here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12. See, it's important not to miss that last stitch. That's the last one right there, 12. That's the one we're going to work into next. Okay, so that's the correct number. We have 12. So I'm going to put my hook back into the working loop and cinch it up. All right, now round 3, we're going to, we're starting what's like a repeated series or repeated pattern. You'll see a little star, an asterisk. It says single crochet 2 in the next single crochet in the next single crochet, and then repeat that 6 times for a total of 18 stitches. So this is what that looks like. Let's move that stitch marker up, fold it across the work. Okay, we're going to go into the next stitch, going under both loops. We're going to increase by doing a single crochet and then another single crochet in the same. So single crochet 2 in the next stitch, right? Now in the next, we're going to move to the next stitch, and this one we're only going to do 1 single crochet. So just like that. So there's doubled, and then there's 1. So we're making 3 stitches in the space of 2 stitches below. And we're doing that 6 times, so 3 times 6 equals 18. And that's going to allow us to maintain this flat circle. The circle will keep increasing in diameter, but it will stay nice and flat. If we by increasing 6 in every round. Okay, so let's go in the next. So we're gonna in this next one we're gonna do an increase. So we do 2, and then we go to the next one and do a single. So now we've made 6 stitches. So again, we repeat the pattern of we increase by doing 2 in the same stitch, and then a singleton in the next one, and then again we repeat the pattern by increasing, doing 2 singles, and then 1 single, and again 2 singles, and 1 single, and here's the last repeat before the marker, 2 singles, and 1 single. Okay, and then we come to the marker, so it's time to count. So again, don't count the working loop. We're going to count the one right after is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So that's the correct number of stitches. So we can move up. Now if you don't have the correct number of stitches, let's say you've got maybe 1 too many or 1 too few, like maybe you've got 19 or 17, leave your stitch marker in, pull back the stitches, we call that frogging, because you rip it, and then you can repeat that round and counting carefully to make sure you don't miss any. Usually the culprits are like if you accidentally skip a stitch, that'll cause a problem. Or else you might forget to do the pattern, like you might forget to double it in one spot. Okay, so for round 4, we're going to single crochet 2 in the next single crochet, and then single crochet in the next 2 single crochets. So here's how that's going to look. We're going to go, there's 1, let's see, I'll just start here. Okay, the first stitch, we go under both loops. Okay, and we're going to grab and make 1 stitch and then 2 stitches in the same. So we've got 2 singletons and 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So there's our increase. And then the next one we do 1, and then we move to the next stitch and do 1. So here's how that looks. Now we've made 4 in the series. So there's an increase and then 1, 2. So we've made 4 stitches in the space of 3 below it. We're going to repeat that pattern. Now in the next stitch we're going to do an increase. So 2 and 2 single crochets, and then 1 and then 1. And repeat that again. So 2 single crochets in the same stitch, and then single crochet in the next, and single crochet in the next, and repeat. So 2 single crochets in this stitch, and 1 single crochet in the next, and 1 single crochet in the next, and again increase by doing 2 in 1 stitch, and then a singleton and a singleton. Okay, and now we're getting close to the marker. We've only got 1 more repeat, and we're going to do an increase and then 1 and then 2, and then we are at the end. Let's count them up. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So there's our 24. Again, they should always be, at this point, there should always be multiples of 6. Okay, so think of your 6 times tables. Alright, next we're going to move up that stitch marker. And for this round, which is round 5, we're going to single crochet 2 in the next single crochet in the next 3 single crochets. Repeat that 6 times for a total of 30 stitches. So insert your hook under both loops of the next stitch, make a single crochet, and then make another single crochet in the same stitch, and then we're going to make a single, a single, and a single for next 3. So now you've got 5 stitches in that pattern in the 4 beneath it. We're going to repeat it. The next stitch we will do an increase, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3 singletons. And you might see to start this, it's going to start making little corners where you're stacking those increases on top of each other. Okay, so next we're going to do another increase, and then 1, 2, 3, and then increase, and then 1, 2, 3, increase, and 1, 2, 3, and finally last repeat, increase, 1, 2, 3, and there's our stitch marker. We're at the end of the round. Let's count them up. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay, let's move that stitch marker up. We're going to do round 6. So single crochet 2 in the next single crochet in the next 4 single crochet, and repeat 6 times for a total of 36 stitches. Alright, let's get a move on. So by this point you should be kind of feeling comfortable in the pattern and how it's working up and how it's getting used to the counting and the increasing at regular intervals. So we did our increase 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then increase. Yeah, let me just adjust that. There we go. Increase, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then increase, 1, 2, oops, hang on, I've got too many loops here. Let me back it up. My loops split. Okay, so where am I now? See, I lost where I was. So what I want to do is go back and find the last increase and count from there. So here's my last increase, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one, it needs to be an increase. So I'm gonna put an extra one in that same stitch, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another increase, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then increase, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, and increase, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and there we are at the end of the round. And we're going to count. It should be 36. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Great. Okay. Now, now you've got 6 rounds, you'll see kind of a hexagon forming, because again, all those increases are stacking on top of each other and kind of as they radiate outwards, and it makes a hexagon. But when you stuff it, it'll kind of stretch it into a circle. Now, you'll notice that with the kit yarn, it's kind of thin, and I'm getting some hole. You'll see the daylight through these holes, which I don't really like. I usually don't like that because so the yarn that I use to make the models in the book is a worsted weight, and it's a bit thin. It's thicker than the kit yarn. The kit yarn is they had it made in, the publishers had it made in China, so it's not really the standard of what you would buy in say a craft store when you're getting. This is more, the stuff in the kit is more like I'd say a sport weight or a double knit weight, so a little thinner. So it will be a little smaller than the models you see in the book, but it'll still work up. If you want to make sure you don't see those little holes, you can go down a size. Like I would recommend going to a D or even a C hook. So like a 3.25 or a 2.75 millimeter. Okay, so let's see, we're on round 7. Now this one is a special one because it changes the pattern. It changes the regular increases. We're going to be doing in back loops only, single crochet in each, single crochet around. So this is going to form a turning edge that will form the kind of the bottom of the bowl. So here's one that's already worked up. You see how it's going to form this line of front stitches that is still remaining, and then it makes it easy for the crochet to kind of turn and make a flat bottom and then a rounded edge. So this is how this is going to work. We're going to I've been telling you to do always but back loops only. I'm sorry, both loops when you're working. But for this round, we're going to do back loops only, which means you're going to put your hook into the middle of the V and then grab that back loop, just the one strand. You're going to single crochet just like that. And then you're going to go into the next one, single crochet. So you'll see that beneath it, there's still the front loops remaining, and that's going to leave a line. And you want that because it's going to make it easy for the new single crochets to kind of turn on an edge. So it's going to make the transition from the bottom of the pot to the sides of the pot. So we're just going to go around in each back loop of this round, and you don't have to do any increasing. You're just going to do single crochets. So this is kind of the dull part where maybe you can fast forward this part or do it at double speed. That's one nice thing about like YouTube videos. You can change your speed, your playback speed, and it gives you option of doing like 1.5 or 2 times the normal speed. And then so if I'm talking kind of slow, or if this is a boring part, you can just play it at double speed and get to the end of the round. Okay, we're almost there. Again, always going in that back loop. So just inserting your hook right there down in the middle of that V. Okay, so there you can see there's that line of remaining front loops. Okay, so I'm going to move up my stitch marker. I'm going to go to round 8 in both loops, single crochet 2 in the next single crochet the next 5, repeat 6 times for 42. So we're going to start doing regular increases again. And this, remember, we're going to go in both loops. So, and then, so there's an increase and then 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that makes 7 in that pattern, and 7 times, and we're going to repeat it 6 times, so 7 times 6 is 42. So I'm just going to pause. This is getting kind of, repetitious, so I'll just pause and see and go to the next bit. Alright, so I'm back. I've just finished round 8, so I've made 42 around, and I'm going to move my stitch marker up. I'm going to start round 9, and the way that's going to go is we're going to make 2 single crochets in the next stitch, so we're increasing, and then we're going to do 6 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's for a total 8 in that pattern. You repeat it 6 times. So 6 times 8 is 48. So you'll have 48 when you get done. So I'll go ahead and get to that point. Okay, so I have just finished round 9, which is 48 stitches around. And so that's going to be the last of our increases. Now for rounds 10 through 13, which we're just going to single crochet around for 4 rounds. So we're going to go to, you're going to make round 10, 11, 12, and 13. So what that's going to look like, you just move that stitch marker up. And this is the easy part where you can just, watch a TV show while you're doing this. Because you don't have to count. You just do your single crochets. So I will get to round, I'll finish round 13, and then I'll show you how to do round 14. Okay, so here I've got finished rounds up to round 13. So let's start round 14, and the instructions are in the front loops only. We're going to single crochet in each single crochet around for 48 stitches, and then doing an invisible fasten off, or IFO. So this is how that's going to work. So there's my stitch marker. I'm folding that over around the last stitch, and then I'm going to find the next stitch, and I'm going to do just the front loops only. So instead of going under both loops like I normally would, just going to grab that front loop and kind of pop the head of the hook right there, and just do a single crochet in each of these, making sure to just grab that front loop in each stitch around, make your single crochet. And what's that's going to look like is on the inside, or the wrong side of the pot, we're going to have a row of remaining back loops. At this point, I need to talk about the right side and the wrong side, because when you are working with amigurumi in a round shape like this, if you're not, so in this piece, we worked back and forth, and so we were flopping it over, wrong side, right side, wrong side, right side. So it doesn't really matter because the wrong side and the right side look the same. But for this kind of work where you're going in spiral rounds where you're not turning your work, you're going to notice how it creates fabric with 2 different looks. So this is the right side, and you'll see that each single crochet has like 2 little V shape, 2 little legs on it. Okay, now if I turn it on the wrong side, you'll see it has a different look because each single crochet has a little crossbar, a little horizontal crossbar that goes over the top of each stitch. So if you know the symbol for pi, the pi symbol has a crossbar with the 2 legs. So that's what this looks like, is each stitch has a little horizontal crossbar and then 2 little legs. So you can see it has kind of a different look. So for this pattern, it's important that you know the right side from the wrong side, because what's going to happen is you're going to need to have those remaining back loops on the inside, because that's where we're going to attach the dirt part of your crochet. In fact, if you'll look in the book, you can see how I'm crocheting into those remaining back loops to create this new circle. So yeah, make sure now most of the time when you start working and it starts curving up, it's going to have the wrong side on the outside, and the way that you can tell that is because you'll be working along and your working loop will be further away from you. So at that point you need to pop the work so the right side is out, and now the working loop will be closer to you as you work. And that's how you can tell you're on the right side. And after a while, I've just kind of, pop the work without even thinking about it, but it's important to note that, especially in, like I said, in this part where we're creating a lip, where we're going to put that surface of the dirt. So, all right, I'm just going to continue making my single crochets in the front loop. Only I'm going to pause this and get to the end of the round because this is another repetitious part. Okay, so I've come to the end of round 14, and I'm going to show you how to do the invisible fasten off. Because this is the edge of the bowl, and because we're doing spiral rounds and we haven't joined the rounds, it's going to create kind of a step. There's a kind of a transition. There's a higher bit here, and we want to kind of smooth that transition. So what we do is we're going to cut the working yarn with about 6 inches of yarn. Okay, so we've got our working loop here. Now, we're going to pull that working loop so that the cut end pops through. So now it won't come unraveled, but don't pull it super tight, because what we're going to do is we're going to skip the next stitch. And so as if you're crocheting, you're going to go into so skip this stitch, go under both loops of the next single crochet. We're going to pull that working yarn underneath those loops. So like so. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to bring the working yarn back in through that loop back here. So the loop of the last single crochet, you're going to come up through from the bottom, like so. You're going to grab your yarn, pull it through. And if you want to do this with a needle, you can instead of a hook. So you pull that through. See, now it's a loose, it looks kind of like a loose crochet stitch, okay? And it's making a V into that last working loop. Now you're going to pull that yarn, that tail, so that it will be, don't pull it super tight, but just pull it so that it's the same stitch length as the other stitches around it, okay? So now you can see it almost looks like it's forming a slip stitch where it's doing a smoother transition down to the previous round. And then what you can do is you can pull that working yarn. I'm going to come from the back and pull that tail to the back of the work, so that and then from here you can take your needle and hide it. So I'm going to show you how to do that really quick, because that's a good thing to know how to do. Okay, let's see. Let me find my needle. Just a moment. Okay, here's my needle. I'm going to put that tail end on there, and making sure I'm working in the wrong side. So this is going to be on the inside of the pot, and this is where the stuffing is going to be. So that way it'll hide any tails and bits. So we're just gonna, I could just lay it in there and hide it with the stuffing, but I'll just show you how to just weave it in. So you just pull it through the backs of the stitches, and you can do back and forth, and then you kind of pull the work so that you can't see it from the outside. And then you're going to carefully just trim the excess, making sure you don't cut the crochet work. And there it is. Okay, and here's the beginning tail. We're just going to tuck that in there, because that'll be hidden when we create the top. Okay, so now it's time to grab your brown yarn, and we're going to wind this in a ball, and then we're going to create the top. Okay, so I've got my brown yarn and rolled in a ball, and I'm going to, so for round 15, so I'm going to find the remaining back loops. So you can see how, because we did front loops, that creates kind of a little edge of remaining back loops, and it also makes it so this lip wants to kind of turn out, which is, I like that for the pot. So I've got my stitch marker in there. What I'm going to do is, oh, hang on a second. There we go. Okay. So let's put the, so there's my stitch marker, and I'm going to find put my hook through that remaining back loop, like so. And then I'm going to fold the tail with about 4 inches, and then just pull it through. And so instead of starting with a slip knot, just have it folded and hold it there. And then you're going to chain 2 like so, and then give the tail a little tug to kind of keep it in place there. So there's 2 chains coming out of that first back loop. Now we're going to single crochet in the next 5 loops. So put your hook in the next loop, and then there's 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to single crochet 2 stitches together and for the next. So what's that's going to look like, because you're only, I mean, normally I would use an invisible decrease if I was using both loops, but because there's only 1 loop, I'm going to single crochet 2 together, which means I go through the first loop and I grab, or I yarn over, pull it through, and then I go through the second stitch, that back loop, grab a yarn over, pull through. Now I've got 3 loops on the hook. Now I'm going to yarn over again, pull through all 3. So that's how I single crochet 2 together when I have only got 1 loop to work with. Now for the next sequence, I'm going to single crochet 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to do another single crochet 2 together. So that's going to decrease by 6 stitches as we go. So grab that loop, pull through, grab the next loop, pull, yarn over, pull through, 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through, 3 on the hook. There's my single crochet 2 together, and then we're going to repeat that sequence. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. See now how I'm crocheting in those loops, and I've got this lip that's left over here. All right, and then so next one is a single crochet 2 together. So I go through the loop and yarn over, pull through, go through the next loop, yarn over, pull through, 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. That's our single crochet 2 together, and then I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then you're gonna single crochet 2 together, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, single crochet 2 together, and then 1, 2, 3, oops, split the yarn there, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then last we've got 2 loops left, and we're gonna single crochet those together. There we go. Now let's see, we should have 42 stitches with the chain 2 equaling 1 single crochet. So at the beginning we, instead of doing a single crochet, we chained 2. So we're going to count that as the first single crochet. And so we go, let's see. So I'm going to count backwards and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Okay, so we've decreased by 6, and we're gonna go to the next round. So I'm gonna move that stitch marker up, and we're gonna go in that first chain. We're gonna do single crochet in the chain 2 space, single crochet in the next 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there we are. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to, let's see, decrease, and then single crochet in the next 5, and then decrease, repeat 5 times. Okay, so this one you can use the invisible decrease, and if you haven't done invisible decrease before, it's a way to decrease that it makes it so it matches the surrounding single crochet stitches really nicely. So the way you do that is you start by going in just the front loop of the next stitch, and then you just push just the hook, the head of the hook through, and then you kind of swing it down and twist and go through the next single crochet front loop only. So you've got 2 front loops on your hook, like so. So you've got 3 loops on your hook, but only the front loops of those 2. And then you're gonna keep your yarn tight, and you're gonna pull through just those 2 front loops, those 2 loops. And now you have 2 in your hook, and then you're gonna yarn over, pull through again, and that's your decrease. And see how it matches the decrease. It looks like a V, just like a single crochet. It's hard to tell them apart. So then you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a decrease. So again, you're going to invisible decrease, where you go to the front loop only, and then swing your head around, grab that next front loop, grab yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. There's your decrease. It's important to keep your tension tight on those decreases, otherwise they stretch out and they're not gonna create holes, or they're not gonna be tight enough for decrease. And then so make sure you don't go into the decrease again. You're gonna go into the next, going under both loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the invisible decrease, like so. Okay, so now here's what it's starting to look like. It's as you're decreasing, it's gonna close up this hole with brown yarn, and so it's like you're going backwards, you're decreasing. Like here you're increasing to make a bigger circle, right? And here you're going backwards, where you're decreasing to, so you're going to like 42 to 36 to 30 to 24 to 18 to 12 to 6 to decrease it. Now if you don't like doing that, see, I like to do it this way, because then I don't have to sew the brown part on top of the orange part. However, if you don't mind a little bit of sewing, you can do it the other way, where you start with 6, and then you go 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, and just go up to 42 around to make a big brown circle, and then you can just whip stitch it to those front loops. So that's another way to do it, if you don't like doing decreasing, or if you don't like the look of your decreases, or if you're having trouble stitching into those front loops, or the remaining back loops. Okay, so I need to keep repeating my pattern. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a decrease. Whoopsie, let's see, decrease right there, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a decrease. Now, if you don't like using the invisible decrease, you certainly can use your single crochet together by just going under both loops, grabbing and pulling through. But just again, it doesn't look like the stitches around it. It creates kind of the 2 stitches that are kind of merged together. So just, but you know, it's dark yarn, so it's not going to show up as much as it might with different yarns. So I'm going to use that invisible decrease again, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and remember to keep your tension nice and tight when you're doing these decreases, because let's see, and you know what, I messed up. I have an extra stitch here, but rather than decrease, I think I'll just add an extra decrease in the next round. So for so I mean this is just because I made an extra stitch when I chained in the first, I'm sorry, when I single crocheted in the first chain, I made an increase instead of just, you know, anyways, I'm not sure if I'm explaining it, but I accidentally added an extra stitch there, so if you're following the instruction in the book, you'll do just fine. Let's see, I am going to go to round 17, single crochet in the next 4, decrease, repeat 6 times. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of resolve that issue by, let's see, I'll put this here. I'm going to decrease to get back on track with my count, stitch count. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a decrease, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. I hope you can see this dark yarn. Decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease, and finally last repeat, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh man, I am not getting my stitch count right. So I'll just do 1 in this last one, and that should be, let me count, make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay. So I just finished round 17 with 30 stitches around, and now I do round 18, where I go single crochet in the next 3 and then decrease, repeat 6 times for 24 stitches. Oh, this is how it's looking so far. See, that hole in the middle is getting smaller as I'm decreasing, and there's the pot thing. I'm gonna be stuffing it in a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna move my stitch marker up, And single crochet. There's 1, 2, 3, and a decrease. Sometimes it wants to split when you're doing those decreases. And then 1, 2, 3, and then decrease. And then 1, 2, 3, and then decrease. 1, 2, 3, decrease. So notice I'm holding the work tightly close to the hook with my middle finger and thumb, and that'll make it easier to do those tricky little decreases. So there's my decrease, and then 1, 2, 3, decrease. Okay, last repeat. 1. Oops. So make sure you don't. So after the decrease, you might have to tug your working loop a little more tightly than usual, and so it doesn't create a gap. 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease to finish that round. Okay, you should have 24 around. And what does the instructions tell us? We're going to do round 19, single crochet in the next 2, decrease, repeat 6 times for 18 stitches, and then stuff the pot lightly. So I'm moving my stitch marker up. I'm going into the next. Now it can be a little hard again with the decrease. It's like, where do I go in the next stitch? It's if you kind of lose track, then kind of look at it from above and you give it a tug. And you can see that this one has already been used, so I need to go in that next one. But let me get my stitch marker back on there, and there I go. 1. Oops, I'm gonna make that a little bit more snug here. Keep my tension nice and tight. 1 and 2. And especially when you're working, as it's getting smaller and smaller in this round, and you're kind of working in a small area, just keep it nice and tight so it doesn't stretch out and make your, because you want this brown part, you want it to lay flat. You don't want it to be like cone shaped or concave. All right, and let's see, where was I now? Okay. So I did 1, 2, decrease, and then 1, 2, and then a decrease, and 1, 2, and then a decrease, and then 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, decrease. And also I should mention, if you're still having, I know it's hard to see it with this dark yarn, and if you're still having trouble getting the invisible decrease, I would recommend going to planetjune.com, and she's got some really great tutorial videos for every crochet stitch for amigurumi. And then she also has the invisible decrease tutorials videos where she really does a very thorough, excellent job. So again, decrease, like so. Okay, so there's 18 around and time to stuff that pot. So I want to do that. Grab here's the stuffing that came with the kit. Cut open this bag. Now, one fun thing you can do, if you like a weighted bottom, if you like the feel of a heavy bottom, you can use aquarium gravel to make it weighted. And gravel should be big enough that it won't squeeze between the stitches. Another thing you can use is dried beans. Just make sure your work doesn't get wet, because then the beans might sprout. But beans have a nice feel to them, you know, like a bean bag, like children's bean bags. Another thing you can use is plastic, little polyvinyl pellets. But when I use those, I like to put them in a little nylon stocking to hold them, because they're small enough. I like the feel of them, but they're small enough that they're gonna squeeze through the stitches. If you like really heavy, you can. There's the new product that's little micro beads. I don't know if they're made of glass or resin, but they, you know, I think they're used for weighted blankets. But you could put those in a kind of a mesh bag or fabric. Make a little fabric bag. Put those inside. So there's just different stuffing options if you don't want to use your traditional polyester fiber fill, which is what I use in the kit. Okay. So don't overstuff it, because you don't want it to bulge on the top. You don't want it to be like, you don't want it to be like that, right? Like a UFO. You want this to be able to lie flat, like so. So I think that's just about the right amount of stuffing. Now we are gonna finish off with 2 more rounds. Round 20 is single crochet in the next, single crochet, decrease, and repeat 6 times. Okay, and for a total of 12. So let's move that stitch marker up. Now it's going to be a little more tricky crocheting with the stuffing behind it, so sometimes the stuffing wants to get caught in your stitches. So just kind of, I like to put my finger behind the work as I go. Let me see if I can get focused, so that it kind of pushes the stuffing out of the way. Alright, so here we go. So one single crochet, and then a decrease. And we'll keep the tension nice and tight. 1 single crochet, decrease, and 1 single crochet, and a decrease. And you have to keep moving your fingers, because this is a small hole and you go fast. Okay, 1 single crochet, decrease, 1 single crochet, decrease, and 1 single crochet, and a decrease. Okay, so that should be 12 around. So for the final round, round 21, you're going to decrease 6 in a row. So I'm going to move that, and then you're going to fasten off. So there we go. Get the finger behind there, and there we go. Which is the first one? There's 1, 2. Oops, no, I'm decreasing 6. I was not making single crochets. Okay, so decrease. And, okay, it gets a little fussy when it's this small, but there's a decrease, and then turn. Find your next stitches. Decrease, give it a little turn, find your next stitches, and I'm kind of pinching them flat so I can put those 2 stitches side by side, so I can decrease together. If you can see it. Oops, okay, that was really out of focus. So, oops, it's splitting. Okay. Don't you hate it when your yarn splits? Okay, where are we? I think 1 more, and that should do it. Okay, so you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now that's small enough that what we're going to do is, this is how we're going to fasten this off. You're going to cut about 6 inches of tail, and then you're going to pull your hook on the loop. You just pull it out, so it, and then I'm going to take my stitch marker out, and now I'm going to grab my needle, and I'm going to close the hole. And the way we close the hole is I'm going to take the working yarn with the needle, and I'm going to go around clockwise, go through the front loop only of each stitch, and do kind of a whip stitch. So I'm aiming towards the center. You can aim away from the center, just be consistent with each stitch. So just, okay. So you should do 6. So there's 3, 4, and then 5. Don't pull it, and don't pull it tight yet. You're going to save that for the end. So there's the 6. So I've gone in through 6 stitches. Now I'm going to pull it, and it's going to cinch that hole nice and tight. So, but now there's kind of this little nipple at the top, right? Or a little protrusion. We don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right down to the center. Take your needle, go through the center, and then come out the bottom, the center bottom, right there. So you're going to pull that needle through, okay, through the stuffing, and then pull it so that it's going to lie flat or just a little bit concave, because we're going to put the ball on top of it here. You won't see this bit, but you want it to give it a little concavity to rest in. Does that make sense? So this is what it looks like. And what I'm going to do is, to secure that, I'm going to go back through, not in the same exact hole, but just like 1 stitch away. Come back up through. Okay, and pull a little snug, and you'll see it kind of makes it a little concave on the bottom too, but that's okay because it's going to be sitting flat on the ground where you don't see it. All right, now finally, to secure, we're going to just grab a stitch, pull through, and then we have kind of a loop, right? And you're going to just go through that loop to do kind of a half hitch knot, and then tug it snug, and then go back in to hide that knot, and then come up a couple inches away, and then cut that tail close to the work so it'll hide that little tail end inside. So there is their finished pot and soil. And so throughout the book with the different pot and soils, you're gonna it's kind of just variations on this same technique. So once you get this one done, it should be easier to adapt those principles to the other pot and soils for the different cactuses in the book. Okay, so that's the end of this portion of the videos, and I'll sign off for this one. And when we next convene, I will show you how to make the face and how to stuff this guy, cinch it up, and put it all together. So, au revoir until then.